Harmony Montgomery was only 5 years old. I mean, just imagine, partially blind, innocent, and completely defenseless. She was placed into the custody of the very person who would become her nightmare. Tragically, that's exactly what happened here. Today, we're doing a deep dive into this tragic, incredibly complex, and haunting case of Harmony Montgomery. Our mission is to uncover not just what happened, but how. How did these systemic failures, unchecked rage, and horrifying cover-up lead to something so unimaginable? This deep dive reveals a devastating web of societal blind spots, the things that allowed this tragedy to unfold.
Absolutely.
To understand how Harmony's life unraveled, we have to start by unpacking the disturbing profile of her father. Our sources, and this includes forensic analyses, they consistently describe a man showing clear antisocial behavior and profound narcissistic rage.
That combination is incredibly volatile.
His history wasn't just violent, it was escalating. It fits the profile for antisocial personality disorder with strong narcissistic traits. He was like the quintessential controlling, emotionally volatile offender, and he had a long record to back it up: domestic violence, criminal negligence, you name it.
And what's truly unsettling is how early and consistently Adam's pathology showed up. His history of violence goes way back. 7 Child Protective Services reports filed against him between ages of 2 and 5.
7 reports.
0 intervention. Imagine that. At age 11, beating a younger boy so badly, he needed reconstructive surgery. Later, brutal assaults on multiple girlfriends, Sarah, Jennifer, Melissa, leading to severe injuries, causing a miscarriage in one case.
Just brutal.
His relentless fight for custody. It wasn't about love, was it? It feels more like a deep-seated need for possession, control, to win against anyone he saw as opposition, especially the system.
That pattern of control and aggression makes what happened next even more devastating, doesn't it?
It absolutely.
Because the heart-wrenching reality really hits home when we shift our focus to Harmony herself. She was a special needs child, vulnerable, visually impaired, dependent on the adults around her.
Totally.
Then she gets removed from genuinely safe caregivers and tragically placed right into this incredibly volatile environment with her father.
A known danger.
She became isolated from protection, trapped in this dangerous home, reliant on her abuser. Her vulnerability was absolute.
And tragically, Harmony was born to a mother battling addiction. CPS took her into care young. She thrived in foster care. With the Raftery family, Michelle and Tony, talked about how she blossomed with them, learning to walk, enjoying a small birthday party, really starting to overcome that early trauma. They pleaded desperately to adopt her because they knew about Adam's criminal record. 37 arrests, multiple violent convictions. They saw the danger. But the court, under Judge Mark Newman, prioritized biological rights, even though the judge himself reportedly had some internal conflict about it. Police were told Harmony would be adjusting well when she moved to Adam's custody in February 2019. But it was a physical pry to get her out of their house. She was screaming, "Please don't make me go."
Just heartbreaking.
That plea for safety went unheard.
Let's talk about the motive behind the abuse.
Our sources, including forensic psychologists, are clear on this. It was fundamentally about dominance. Harmony's normal child behaviors, like laughing, maybe talking back, just being a kid, triggered Adam's narcissistic rage.
He saw it as defiance.
A challenge to his control. The experts point to control, retaliation, and profound emotional instability as key drivers.
Harmony
Became the target for his displaced anger, his psychological disintegration. This wasn't discipline in any recognizable sense. It was this explosive, brutal attempt to just annihilate what he perceived as the source of his narcissistic injury. Any slight, real or imagined, that threatened his inflated self-image. It shows a complete, terrifying lack of empathy.
and that rage played out in truly terrifying ways, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The Guilford Street apartment. One source described it as 650 square feet of cramped misery, basically a prison for him.
And you saw her decline.
Harmony's decline was incredibly rapid and chilling. She regressed in potty training. She stopped eating properly, stopped talking much. She even developed survival mechanisms, like trying to become invisible.
What kind of torment are we talking about?
The specifics are harrowing. Being locked for hours in a tiny 2-by-3 foot hallway closet with no light. Being forced to clean up her own accidents. Standing in freezing cold showers. There's even an account of him holding her head in the toilet, mockingly teaching her where piss belongs, and duct taping her mouth shut when she had night terrors, silencing her. Neighbors like Maria Santos and David Chen confirmed they heard things. Chen specifically recalled seeing her forced to stand in a corner for hours on end. It wasn't just punishment. It felt like a systematic effort to break her spirit.
And Adam's lifestyle, this chaotic, transient living situation.
He was homeless, constantly moving, and he had complete unmonitored access to Harmony.
No checks and balances.
No school enrollment, no consistent neighbors, no social services oversight, ideal conditions for the abuse and its concealment.
He used the chaos.
The evidence suggests he deliberately used this chaotic lifestyle. It let him manipulate space, delay anyone discovering what was happening, and then, after her death, repeatedly relocate her body. It shows calculated self-preservation, not just random dysfunction. That was August 2019, after an eviction. The family, Adam, Kayla Montgomery, his wife, Harmony, and their 2 boys were living in a Honda Civic.
And the violence continued.
It escalated. This period saw Adam punching, kicking, slamming Harmony's head against surfaces in the car. It got so bad that Kayla Montgomery actually observed it and apparently warned him, "She's going to die if you keep this up." His response was chillingly cold. "Good. One less mouth to feed."
Unbelievable. Just no value for her life at all.
Seemingly none. The last known sighting of Harmony by anyone outside that abusive household was a FaceTime call with her biological mother, Crystal Sorey. That was back in April 2019.
What did Crystal notice?
Harmony appeared thin, pale, and kept emphasizing, "I'm being good." It was a clear red flag looking back. Tragically missed. She was trying to signal her desperate situation in the only way she could.
It just kept getting worse until eventually it reached its horrifying climax, December 7th, 2019.
A truly tragic date. The setting itself is grim. They were parked behind a strip mall in Manchester, New Hampshire. It was 28 degrees Fahrenheit.
Bitterly cold.
And Harmony, suffering from a fever and severe malnutrition, had a bathroom accident in the car. His rage was immediate, likely fueled by methamphetamine withdrawal. He declared, "I'm done with this."
And then the final act.
The murder itself. Kayla Montgomery's eyewitness account is chillingly detailed. She described Adam repeatedly punching Harmony in the face and head, breaking her wrist, slamming her head against the dashboard.
This wasn't just one blow.
It was deliberate violence. Kayla estimated it went on for 11 minutes. Their sons, James and Eric, were sobbing in the back seat, witnessing the whole horrific thing.
And Adam's reaction after she died.
Utterly devoid of emotion. Almost utilitarian. According to Kayla, his main thought was, now he had a body to deal with. He ordered McDonald's for everyone, acting as if nothing significant had happened.
That detachment is profoundly disturbing. For a long time, her fate wasn't known. But there was a critical forensic breakthrough eventually that shifted things.
Pivotal. It turned this from a missing child case into a confirmed homicide investigation. In a homeless shelter where Adam had stayed, investigators found DNA hidden inside a ceiling vent. That DNA was identified as Harmony's.
Wow. Hidden in a vent.
Exactly. And crucially, Adam's fingerprints were found nearby, on the vent or ceiling area. The DNA evidence was conclusive. Finding it hidden exposed his intentional, calculated concealment strategy.
And this discovery started to unravel the whole horrific journey of what happened to her remains.
He showed that Adam kept her remains hidden and moved them multiple times over a period of months. This timeline was corroborated by various witnesses later on.
So it wasn't just panic and dump the body, this was planned.
Absolutely. Things like rental receipts for storage units, logs from those units, even his attempts to use lying and other decomposition agents. It all points to a highly calculated cover-up. It seems like a mix. Fear of getting caught, obviously, but also perhaps this obsessive need for control, maybe even a chilling absence of remorse or guilt in the way we'd normally understand it. Each movement appears deliberate. The timeline paints a picture of methodical concealment. After the murder in the car, he put her body in a duffel bag, hidden in the ceiling vent of an abandoned house. That's where the DNA and fingerprints were found.
Right.
From there, her remains were moved into a cooler, stored for a time in the hallway of Kayla's mother's apartment building, then to a walk-in freezer at a Burger King, where Adam briefly worked.
He hid her in his workplace freezer.
Then to a rented storage unit. Finally, the remains were dispersed. The idea, presumably, was to make discovery impossible. One buried in woods, one in a construction dumpster, another left in an abandoned building, one sunk in a quarry pond. And investigators believe he might have
Kept one beyond words.
Reinforcing the calculation, investigators found Adam used library computers to research things like how long before a body starts to smell and how to dissolve organic material.
So premeditated concealment.
The planning speaks to a deep, chilling pathology.
Which brings us, sadly, to the most likely scenario confirmed by all this evidence: filicide. Killed by her father, driven by explosive rage after escalating abuse.
Yes. And Kayla Montgomery's testimony, despite all its complexities in her own plea deal, corroborates this core narrative. She detailed the injuries, the extensive concealment steps, Adams' confessions.
The forensic side backs this up.
When you combine psychological profiling with forensic triangulation, pulling together multiple strands like physical evidence, witness testimony, and behavioral analysis, the probability of this scenario, Adam murdering Harmony, is rated at something like 96%.
So incredibly high.
It was the tragic culmination of this unaddressed pathology and escalating violence.
But looking at the whole picture, this tragedy wasn't inevitable, was it? It feels like it was enabled.
That's a crucial point. What's truly infuriating when you examine the case files is how repeatedly Child Protective Services failed. Known abuse reports were ignored. Numerous red flags were overlooked. The institutions that are supposed to protect children failed to intervene at critical moments. Forensic modeling reveals specific systemic errors directly enabled Harmony's death. Basic case mismanagement, lack of follow-up, and systemic bias towards prioritizing biological custody rights over a child's demonstrated safety.
You mentioned the ghost child.
Exactly. How did she become a ghost child? Adam was collecting welfare benefits for her, about $458 a month, totaling nearly $11,000 in fraudulent benefits.
So financially, she existed.
But she vanished from the oversight systems, school, medical care, social services. She just disappeared.
What were the specific points of failure?
They're stark. You have the Massachusetts judge awarding custody despite Adams' 37 prior arrests and known violence. You have DCYF, the Child Services Agency, failing to track her properly when the family moved interstate. Schools not questioning her prolonged absence. Police dismissing Crystal's calls about her daughter's safety as harassment between ex-partners.
Adam's lies covered it up.
Adams' web of lies about where Harmony was, why she wasn't visible. These were often made more plausible by the general chaos and disruption of the COVID-19 pandemic. It just made it easier for her to stay hidden.
Adam's behavior, especially after her death, feels like more than just guilt or trying to avoid prison.
Forensic psychiatrists analyzing his behavior note signs of something deeper, a compulsion, beyond just covering his tracks. The continued possession of her remains, these acts of desecration, they aren't just about avoidance. They point to this disturbed need for dominance, a pathological refusal to relinquish control over the victim, even in death.
Extending control beyond the grave.
These are seen as signature traits in some offenders meant to extend their psychological control, a final, horrific act of power.
The investigation in late 2021 had a lot to work with.
It eventually built an undeniable case. Kayla Montgomery's confession, which she gave in exchange for immunity on certain charges, was pivotal, providing that firsthand account.
But it wasn't just her word.
It was combined with overwhelming forensic evidence, those blood traces found in the car, Harmony's DNA in that ceiling vent, plus the traumatized testimony of the boys, James and Eric, who described witnessing the murder. Every piece of evidence triangulated, pointing directly to Adam's guilt.
So with all that, the forensic evidence, the testimony, the behavioral patterns, a guilty verdict against Adam Montgomery seemed almost certain.
The charges were severe. Second-degree murder, falsifying evidence, abuse of a corpse. AI-driven forensic prediction models indicated a 94% likelihood of conviction on the murder charge.
And that's what happened.
He was ultimately convicted. Justice, in that legal sense, was served.
But Harmony Montgomery's story, it must not fade into silence now that the trial is over. Her death demands more than justice for her abuser. It demands systemic reform. We need stronger child welfare oversight, stricter accountability for all the institutions involved. She got betrayal from the very systems meant to keep her safe. Her name must become a rallying cry for change, a symbol for every child neglected, failed by the system.
Harmony's profound absence forces us to look at the deep cracks in our systems and our responsibility to protect the vulnerable. What crucial lessons can we as a society truly learn, internalize? How do we stop another child from becoming a ghost in plain sight?
If you found this story important, please subscribe for more compassionate and in-depth true crime. Comment, share this episode, help us amplify Harmony's story because real change starts with awareness.